gripped by the fear of letting go? That moment when you realize that what's holding you back from achieving and believing in the person that you can become is just letting go. Maybe it's letting go of that ex you might be stalking on Facebook. Some of you know what I mean. Maybe it's letting go of the urge to compare yourselves to other people. Or maybe it's letting go of the need to be perfect in everything that you do. And letting go of the right moment to go after your dreams. While letting go seems so easy to say, it still feels so difficult to do. I first experienced this feeling my last semester in college at Clark University. Like every senior, I wrestled with the internal dilemma of what's next. Do I continue my education, or do I find a job? As a student, I always wanted to make a difference through leadership and service, but wasn't quite clear on how. I had a curiosity to see the world, yet my reality required that I find a job to support myself and help my family back in Brooklyn. After graduation, I started my job as a legislative aide with the Massachusetts State House. Yet deep down inside, my desire to see the world remained. I remember a conversation I had with my political science professor at Clark. She spoke to me about her experience in the Peace Corps, learning Arabic, and developing a passion for Middle Eastern politics. After some contemplation, I decided to apply. 1 year later, I had received an email informing me that I had been selected to serve in the Peace Corps in Rwanda. For the next 27 months, I set out to make a difference in a small village in the western province of Rwanda as a community hub volunteer. With a population size of around 3,000 people, I was expected to assess the needs of my community and implement the project. I spent the first 3 months learning the local language Kinyarwanda and acclimating to my new home. Although I initially struggled, I knew being able to communicate in the language would make me feel less of an outsider. Here I was, a black kid from New York City in the middle of a village in Africa. I knew if I could adapt to the culture and understand the challenges faced within my community, I could empower and advocate for those without a voice. I met with community members and local leaders, and I noticed that illiteracy, among other issues, was on the rise. In my visits to schools, I observed teachers instructing their classes without electricity and books. The highest level of education within my village didn't exceed high school, and many students were unable to pass their national exams or find employment. There was proof all around me that there was a clear need to help these students in my community. From that moment, I knew that I would set out to build a community library. It wasn't a solution to remove all the problems in my village, but it provided my community with the resources to empower themselves beyond my 2 years in Rwanda. Of the 24 months remaining, I spent 18 working tirelessly towards this project. I received support from the community and local institutions. Through networking and speaking about my project idea, I was able to acquire books from the public library in Kigali, the capital. My community college professor even used her wedding anniversary gift to purchase a pallet of books to donate to my library project. I felt a deep sense of pride and fulfillment witnessing my vision unfold. I thought about the legacy Lavar that I would leave behind for my community to remember me by. There was an NGO in my community that was building a community youth center. Through collaboration, I sought to improve reading and writing skills and offer computer and financial literacy. After several meetings with the organization and district leadership, we agreed on the idea to move forward. I was really optimistic about how things were progressing. I followed up with the organization a few days later, and they mentioned needing additional approval from their leadership. A few days went by, and I heard nothing back. The more time went by, the more anxious I became. We were now weeks away from closing in on a plan when the organization I was partnering with lost funding from an international sponsor. The center was no longer going to be built. Man. I felt ashamed by the idea that others would later find out. I thought about all the undelivered promises I had made to my community. To make things worse, I wasn't able to get the books from the library to my community because of transportation issues. Now, what seemed like a vision to help improve my community was falling apart before my eyes. I had failed so many people who were believing in my project to assist them. 6 months left, and no project to show for the time spent. I had lost sight of my hope, my purpose, and my drive to move forward. What were others going to say about me? I'd been here almost 2 years and didn't feel like the impact I envisioned aligned with that of my reality. For the first time, I felt I had failed as a Peace Corps volunteer. From that moment, there were many lessons I had to learn and unlearn in order to find my purpose. Today, I want to share with you what awaits us on the other side of letting go, and how it led to my purpose-driven life to inspire others globally to do the same. As individuals, we sometimes make the mistake of deriving our value and self-worth from the things we accomplish. We do this because it's easier to work in our external environment than it is to work on who we are internally. We psych ourselves out to believe that who we are is defined by our careers, grades, and environments. But in reality, it's far greater. We live our lives according to these mental images, influenced by our upbringing and life experience. Over time, we hold on to these assumptions, ideas, and beliefs until it becomes our truth and our identity. What now? With only 6 months left, what was I to do? My options were limited. My determination to build a library blinded me from seeing other needs I was capable of meeting. I was more occupied with leaving my mark than with meeting the needs of my community. Before me was an immediate need to address the growing challenges of malnutrition. Families and single mothers were being affected because they lacked access to health care. When I first watched those mothers before me, there was something in their eyes that I knew I had to do something about. I could no longer go through my service thinking that my service was about me and not about helping these mothers. It was a need that reminded me that they have a purpose despite being in a village, despite coming from communities in remote areas, that their lives mattered too. I thought about my family members. I thought about my sister, my aunt, my mom. Had it been a different circumstance, the reality could have been like this. When I saw the faces of those mothers, it taught me the value and the purpose that I have. There are times when we allow the things that we go through to determine how we see ourselves and the purpose that we bring to our lives. One day, on Monday morning, I usually go to the health center to work with a group of mothers, and their children were on the health center's malnutrition program. I would weigh the babies and assess their health in the previous week before distributing milk and porridge. One day, a child walked into the office, and I noticed a bulge in her stomach. And when I turned to my counterpart and I asked him, "What's going on with the mother?" he mentioned that the child was severely malnourished. As I spoke to the mother in Kinyarwanda that she needed to go to the hospital, she refused because she lacked health insurance and the means to recover the referral fee. Before me, I was being confronted with the harsh reality. Sometimes our egos prevent us from understanding what's before us. It sometimes confuses us and prevents us from seeing that we don't always have the answers. From that moment forward, I wanted to help these mothers find a solution to their problems. When I visited those mothers and those families, I knew that I had to be a part of the solution. My service was no longer about me or serving my ego, but about truly serving those mothers. We sometimes grapple with letting go of our ideas because we think that they determine who we are. I planned a kitchen garden training to help mothers address the malnutrition crisis within their community. I wanted to help these mothers provide a solution to their struggle. I wanted to show them that it doesn't matter what other people think about this reality, that they had the tools to make a difference. We planted community gardens in remote villages where rates of malnutrition was greater. And I worked with Peace Corps staff as well as gardening experts to train my group of mothers as well as the center staff. We planted beets, carrots, potatoes, and other vegetables. We also provided seeds, food preparation courses, and workshops to help them learn how to make soy milk and help with protein intake. Watching those mothers work tirelessly to address their situation, I started to realize what truly mattered. My service was no longer about me or serving my ego, but it was about helping those mothers. Sometimes we allow the expectations of others to dictate how we view ourselves. I no longer wanted to be stuck in the opinions of other people. Sometimes we neglect to think about, what do we want? What is the life we want to live? What's the impact that I want to have in the world? Yet we sometimes get pigeonholed in perspectives and ideologies that doesn't reflect who we are. Once we completed those trainings, I saw a difference in those mothers' eyes. I saw a glimpse of hope. I saw a glimpse of purpose. I saw mothers who were no longer allowing their circumstances to determine their reality. They became fighters. What my time in Rwanda revealed to me is that setbacks occur to help us reevaluate our approach. It requires letting go and a reconstruction of our self-concept. Serving in the Peace Corps in Rwanda taught me so many things and so many valuable lessons about what it is to step out on fear. To not allow your environments to trap you into believing that there's not more to life than your immediate surroundings. It gave me a glimpse of who I was and who I could become when I committed to letting go. There are many times we hold on to things and we don't realize what it's doing to us. I found myself here in the Peace Corps, and I seem to be living my best life. Yet behind the scenes, I was living a false truth. When I completed my service, I wanted to help other young black men like myself, who came from communities that held them back, that taught them that they weren't good enough, or capable, or couldn't break stigmas that were pigeonholing from being great. I wanted to create an opportunity to help other young black males like myself let go of their egos, mental images, and fears holding them back. Now, as the co-founder of Leaders of the Free World, my organization uses international experiences as well as transformational leadership development to help empower young black males nationally. Last summer, we took our second cohort to Egypt and Ghana. Many of our students came from Chicago, New York, and Massachusetts. Some had never owned passports or left their cities. We explored different themes in leadership, provided cross-cultural learning, and helped them to let go of self-limiting beliefs. Once they returned, they view life so much differently because we gave them a glimpse of who they were once they left their comfort zones. When we commit to letting go, we become clear on who we really are. Letting go of who we thought we were. Letting go of what we thought was possible. Letting go of the need to be validated by others. And letting go of our fears of the unknown. On the other side of letting go, I found my true identity. And it is my hope that you find yours too. Thank you.